Hello everybody, this is Rudifudo with the TheWoWCrusaders Guides. Today I'll be showing you tips and tricks to the Boomkin in PvP. The spec is designed for RBGs and is not meant for any other occasions, such as PvEing. The spec does not guarantee any rating. Rating is earned by being persistent and practicing and never giving up. I don't care how gay that sounds, you can't give up or else you won't ever get good at this, and you need to practice and be persistent. So to get started, let's do the spec. So Spec start off in balance with Nature's Grace. What Nature's Grace does is it basically gives you 15% haste every minute. Starlight Wrath, it makes it so Wrath and Starfire reduced by 0.5 seconds of cast time. Nature's Majesty makes it so your 4% of crit increased. Balance of Power increases nature and arcane spell damage by 2% and increases your spell hit rating by an additional amount equal to 100% of any spirit gained from items or effects. Basically what it does is it does more damage in nature and arcane, and it reduces your 8% hit rating cap to 4% hit rating cap, which means that you can reforge less into hit and more into haste, doing more damage and less wasted reforging. You don't need to worry about Moonglow since you're going to go into Euphoria, and you have Innervate, which makes it so you'll never basically ever run out of mana. So you don't need to worry about any extra mana cost reduction. Genesis makes it so the duration of Moonfire and Insect Swarm is increased by 6%, or sorry, 6 seconds rather. Now Euphoria, what I mentioned before, basically what it does is your Wrath and your Starfire have a 24% chance to double the amount of solar or lunar energy gained, which goes towards your eclipse states, which is very helpful. And every time you enter an eclipse state, you gain 16% of your total mana back, which makes it so you'll basically never ever go which is an awesome thing. Now the next one is Moonkin form. It's obvious you need Moonkin form because you're going to be a chicken, you know, you need to go turn into a chicken, and it also gets you out of any kind of movement impairing effects, not stuns or anything, but movement impairing effects. Typhoon makes it so you blast people, knock them back a couple feet, or yards, or whatever you want to call it, and it does a decent amount of damage to anyone 30 yards in front of you, and it dazes them for a good 6 seconds too, so that's also very handy. Shooting Stars, this basically procs every now and then, makes it so your Star Surge makes an instacast. So that's, yeah, it makes it instacast, and once you use it, obviously you can't do it again until it procs again. Solar Beam is an AoE silence. It's very helpful when using it in a smoke bomb. So you pop smoke bomb, Solar Beam. It's a very good combo. You can't have you won't have a healer run into the smoke bomb and instantly like heal the person inside of the smoke bomb. It makes it so you can't hurt anybody, and it makes it so they're non-healable inside the smoke bomb, and it also works very well with any kind of slow effects or immobilization effects, not like stuns or anything, but like you put an entangling roots or like a DK chains of ice where it makes it so it's completely immobilized. Then you cast this on them and they can't move. Or you have a chain of them, like you pop this, then chains of ice, and then entangling roots, and then it's a good 4 second, 6 second silence depending on if they pop trinket or something. Gale of Winds makes it so you do more damage with Hurricane and Typhoon, and it also increases the range of Cyclone. What I use this mainly for is the Cyclone, because to be able to Cyclone somebody for an extra 4 yards is very helpful, because sometimes you're out of range, but to give it an extra 4 yards, 4 yards is actually a decent distance, so it's actually increasing your Cyclone distance by a decent amount. So it's very good to spec into this, and you might want to consider it. Actually, just don't consider it, just do it. Please do it. You know you want to. Owlkin form, or Moonkin form, or Crazy Chicken form. Anytime you're in Moonkin form, you have a 10% chance to cause you to go into a frenzy. Or sorry, anytime you do damage in Moonkin form, you have a 10% chance to go into a frenzy. What it does is it increases your damage by 10% and causes you to be immune to pushback while casting a balance spell. That says it all. You basically just the part you want to worry about most is the extra 10% damage when you, every now and then. It actually procs quite often, so basically you're always going to be in this state, almost. Yeah, maybe not really. It's quite frequent enough to spec into. So I put 2 points into it. Please don't put any more. If you're going to take anything out of anything, take it out of Gale Winds and put it in here, but I still wouldn't even do that. I'd keep 2 here and 2 there. Now this next one, Dream State. This is one of the really good ways we never go Our Innervate makes it so we basically restore a crap ton of our mana. So this gives it an extra 30% total mana that we gain back. Nothing much I can explain about that anymore. Force of Nature is very good when you're trying to get a single target down, or even you cast it with, say, Starfall. You cast this, you spread all of your dots onto a bunch of people, and you get a couple Cunning of the Cruel Ticks, and basically anything you feel like targeting is going to die, and it's very good to have an extra 3 treants attacking people just whenever the hell they feel like it, so it's pretty awesome. Sunfire, to be honest, you don't have to worry about the Sunfire thing too much. The thing I worry about is the thing that it enables, which is this. But every time you get into a solar state, you get a cute little orange ray instead of a purple ray. And I'm not even too sure if it does a lot more damage, but it looks cool. Earth and Moon. Your Wrath, Starfire, and Wild Mushroom Detonate spells apply the Earth and Moon effect, which increases spell damage taken by 8% for 15 seconds, and it also increases your damage by 2%. Your spell damage by 2%. So, this is applied to an enemy target every time you cast Wrath or Starfire on them. So it's always good to put, like, attack, like, open with this almost. Maybe not even open, you still want to spread dots first, but you want to put this on a target that you're trying to burst down, like, say, a tank. You want to put it on it first. So you'll throw a Starfire, or I usually do with Wrath because it's a quicker cast time, and I get all my aids on him, aka dots. I'm sure you guys have heard the aids term before, but if you're not sure, it's dots. I put my aids on him after that, so they take an extra 8% damage, and I get the extra 2%. And or I'd also open with the Mushroom Detonate, which also makes it so it's 50% slower all around wherever I detonate. That's the next talent that I'll get into in a second. But it's always good to blow on a tank or like a flag carrier if they're going down, or even just any DPS that you can get down really fast. Or anybody, really. It's an extra 8% damage, so it's not just your damage, it's total damage taken, so it's pretty sweet. So speaking of the 15% slow effect, whenever your treants die or your wild mushrooms are triggered, it spawns this thing called the fungal growth. Basically, it's just a big thing on the floor. It looks like a Resto's Druid's Swiftwind efflorescence thing on the ground. Basically, whenever you walk into it, it slows everything that's standing inside of it for 50%. And as long as they're standing in it, and as long as it's still there and they're standing in it, then they're slowed for an entire 50% of their actual movement speed. It's pretty sweet. Lunar Shower. Whenever you cast a Moonfire, you gain a Lunar Shower. Lunar Shower increases the direct damage by your Moonfire by 45% and reduces the mana cost by 30%. It stacks up to 3 times, which means it costs 90% less damage and does more damage. I mean, it costs 90% less mana and does some odd amount of more damage, 115, I think. 100, no, I don't know. 135, Jesus. 135% extra damage. Something like that. I hope I'm not wrong, because that'd be embarrassing. And every time you use it, then you get more energy for closer to your Lunar Shower. So I like to use this, like, I'll spread my Moonfire first or second, either way, but I spam it on all the targets. Like, I'll do Moonfire, 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 and sometimes like to go over the targets so they get the extra 135% damage taken from that one tick. But usually I don't. And then I spread my Insect Swarm all together. So when you cast it, it does more damage initially. You don't really have to do it, but I mean, I like to. But I mean, you know, it's a pretty substantial difference when you do. But you'd have to get really good at it. It's not going to be like you spec into it and you're like, oh, I can do this perfectly. Once again, you have to practice and be persistent at it. It's not just going to come easy. Well, if it does come easy to you, then you are just really good, and you should go get laid sometime. Yeah, you should go get laid sometime. Starfall. Basically, this is a very, very good move. You can glyph into it to make it a less cooldown. Usually it's a minute and a half cooldown, but every time when you glyph into it, it reduces 30 seconds. And I also glyphed it to make it so whenever I Star Surge, it takes off 10 seconds, so I can cast this quite frequently. Especially since Star Surge is going to proc insta-cast, and it's just pretty sweet. And basically it's just an AoE attack that you don't have to do anything. You click the button and it just pew-pews everybody. It's pretty sweet. Now in the Restoration spec, Natural Shapeshifter, the only part you really need to worry about is reducing 20% of your shapeshifting costs and allow you to go into here, which is the main form. And go into here is to get this right here, but we'll go in that in a second. It's very helpful when you're trying to like shape into travel form to Boomkin form to travel form to Boomkin form, back and forth, back and forth. You won't go completely. You won't go anyway unless you do it like 100 times. I wouldn't advise doing that. Please don't do that. Actually, yeah, no, don't. Definitely don't do that. Now, Heart of the Wild increases intellect by 6%. This increases your intellect by 6%. Yeah, it increases your intellect by 6%. I'll leave it at that. Master Shapeshifter. When you're in Moonkin form, it increases your spell damage by 4%. So, it increases your spell damage by 4%. You should understand that. Don't have to go into that further. Now, glyphs. Apparently I don't have one of these. Who cares? Don't need it. Anyway, in the prime slots, I have Glyph of Insect Swarm, which makes it so you do 30% extra damage with this. I have Moonfire, which makes 20% extra damage with Moonfire. And the thing that I was talking about, 5 seconds, not 10 seconds. When you Star Surge, it deals damage, and the cooldown of your Starfall is reduced by 5 seconds. So every time you deal damage with Star Surge, it makes Starfall 5 seconds less of a cooldown taken off, and that's bada bing, bada bam. You're gonna get your Starfall back up, put it up, and do a lot more damage. Now, Glyph of Starfall reduces cooldown by 30 seconds. Solar Beam increases the duration of your Solar Beam silence by 5 seconds. Some people don't go into Fairy Fire, they actually go into... Let me find it here in a second. They go into... Barkskin, which makes it so you it reduces the chance you'll be critically hit by 25%. I would go into it, but I really do like popping Fairy Fire on like a rogue, or something like that, because if you're in an RPG group, you're never gonna run into a feral in your group, so there's not gonna be stacks of Fairy Fire on like 9 different people at the same time. So people actually kind of rely on you to put this on them, or maybe you wouldn't even have a warrior casting Devastate, because that'd be a prot warrior. Prot warrior doesn't do damage really. So I mean, you're basically the one that's gonna spread these, and it's actually kind of crucial to have Fairy Fire on a lot of targets, because then it makes it so they take a lot more damage. So to be able to do 10 extra yards, I find is very, very helpful. And yeah. Anyway, Unburdened Rebirth makes it so you don't have to have like whatever kind of seeds, like maple seeds or something. And Glyph of Dash reduces your cooldown by 20 seconds. So I like that, and yeah. So now let's go over what you need to reforge and gym into. As of now, my reforging and gymming is kind of a little bit whack. When I did it, I was kind of in need of resilience and stamina, but honestly I'm going to change a little bit of my gyms and stuff around. I'll go into it in a second. But a lot of the gyms you want to have are going to be mastery based, as long as your mastery to haste is somewhat balanced-ish. We'll go over that in a second. But usually Boomkins run around 11 mastery. You really don't need that much. 11 or 10 mastery is usually what you're going to run into. But primarily you're going to reforge into haste. So as long as you have your little, at least for me it's 4% hit cap, but whatever it does until it says target level is 85, as long as that is 0, that's going to be fine. So as long as you have that, you're fine. And basically the way I enchant is there's a lot of people, like all the higher Boomkins usually don't enchant or gym with resilience, just because they're not going to be taking damage because they can kite. But what you want to do is, I took the PvP enchants, the 50 intellect and 25 resilience, and the 60 intellect and 35 resilience, smacked those on. I'm pretty sure I have peerless stats on my chest. Nope, I have 40 resilience. You really want to get peerless stats with your chest. 50 intellect or anything that has mastery or stamina to your wrist. I have haste, or sorry, mastery or haste to your wrist. I have 50 haste on my hands. For this one, I want to get Lava Walker instead of, or is it Lava Walker? It's one of the walkers. I'm almost positive it's Lava Walker, and instead of the 50 haste, but I have 50 haste instead because I find haste very, very awesome. And legs, I have it's the Summon Spell Thread, the one that gives 95 intellect and 80 stamina. I need to get out of this. I need to get the one that has intellect and haste instead of stamina. Once again, I needed stamina, and so I got gyms with resilience and stamina. But honestly, if you're geared and you have the gear for it, and you have the health and you know how to kite, you want to get gyms that have like mastery and intellect. You can get a lot of stamina gyms, like anything that has something and stamina is very good, but never just get straight stamina gyms, or don't get straight resilience gyms. Try to get the special gyms like the purple or the orange or the green that offer both stats instead of just straight. Like, I don't even know why I have a crit gym on here. I really need to get a haste or a mastery combined gym. So yeah, you basically reforge into haste and keep all of your stats balanced. Like, I have a 20% hit crit chance, which is 957. Like, I have 957 crit rating, and I have 1,000 haste rating. So you can see how they're very balanced. But honestly, mastery, you don't need very high mastery, just because the amount of damage it offers is not as much as crit or haste. So it's haste over crit over mastery. So you can reforge accordingly as long as you have hit rating. So that is that. And honestly, the rotation is to spread all of your dots as quickly and efficiently as possible to all of the targets. Maintain them and cast Starfall whenever it's on cooldown, and Starfall whenever it procs. And that's the rundown of a Boomkin. I hope you enjoyed this guide. I hope you found it helpful. If you have a DK, go ahead and click on the screen where it says DK guides. I do have DK guides on, I believe, all 3 specs. No, I don't have blood. I have blood, frost, and maybe I might have an unholy guide. If you have any requests of any kind of class, I can do any class you want. So please leave a comment in the section below, message me, subscribe, favorite this, share it, do whatever you want. Just don't masturbate to it, that'd be really weird. So thank you everybody for watching, and enjoy the rest of your day.